Hi everyone, welcome to Diecast Doctor episode 2. Our patient this week is a Volvo 240 GL by BOS, and this patient actually looks pretty good. You're thinking, well, what's wrong? Well, it's an internal injury. There's some rattling you might hear. The seats have come loose, the driver's seat mainly. And you can hear, which I'll show you in a little while, the headrest has broken off. Otherwise, really good shape. Now the challenge is finding the hardware where it's hidden. There was one screw up front, one screw in the rear, but it was actually hidden under the exhaust. So that was a little tricky. It came out very nice and easy. I didn't have to use any pry tool. The nice thing is, look how nice and easy the chassis comes off. Boom. Nice and easy. Be mindful of these mud flaps, which a couple of them were off in the box. Be mindful of the rear axle and organize so you've got your front axle here so you can keep track. Let's put our chassis over here. Now, this is where things get interesting. Separating what's called like the mid chassis. That didn't fight me much at all, so that's the good news. So there you go, we are missing the front seat. And here it is, front seat. And we've got the headrest. So this one really, it's not too bad. So how did this happen? Well, I don't know, from shipping, the seat fractured loose. The glue didn't really hold. So this is going to be a pretty straightforward repair. I think hot glue will work best. If you look, the factory used hot glue. So it worked for them when they get it right, so maybe just a little bit more hot glue this time. So trusty glue gun over here. I'm going to put it a little bit more liberal use of the glue. Strike while the pan is hot and get it in there. Okay, while it's in, remember to remove the excess glue strings. Well, it's in there. So now let's fix our headrests. That's in there now too. Remove excess glue. A little bit excess glue there. And look, already my chassis is ready to go back together. I like to blow it off a little bit. A lot of times there winds up being a little bit of dust from movement from parts in here. Same thing with the rest of the chassis. And let's put it back together, and hopefully it stays. Now, I will say this is a nice model because of how nicely it goes back together. They don't all do this. Now remember, there are notches for the brakes so they can go in the right direction so that the calipers don't just spin around freely. I'll show you that in a second. Let's see, how do these go? Okay, so these calipers, there's a little silver notch. Whoops, there's a little silver notch at the end, right there, and that engages with the notch in the bottom of the chassis. Pretty much every die-cast car or resin car has some system like this where there's a little locating pin or notch. Then we just put our chassis back. Man, I wish they were all this easy. 2 screws, one in the front, one in the back. A lot of these heavier cars will have 4. Sometimes they're actually hidden underneath the rear tire, so keep an eye out for that. Okay, that's back together. Let's cover that up by regluing the exhaust. Exhaust back on. There you go. Off camera, I'll fix those mud flaps. I think you guys can figure out how that goes back on. But yeah, I mean, that's a successful surgery. I didn't even have to whip out the gloves. It was just that easy. This is going to display as new, so that's a successful patient right there. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Tune in next week for another episode of Diecast Doctor.